Hey, welcome to T Simple Podcast. We focus on providing simple solutions in the classroom. I have someone who is not only smart, but she is an example of a specialist, specifically in education. I have my sister Adrienne Henderson-Cole with us. She is an ed specialist, a national board certified teacher. She has over 20 years of education throughout Maryland and Arizona. She's currently on the West Coast, where she's enjoying that beautiful weather. She don't have to deal with the snow like we do in Detroit. She has earned a designation of Arizona's master teacher. So teachers, when you are talking to her, she is not only showing you love and tutelage, she is giving you the gems to make sure you are staying in the classroom. Previously, she's worked as a TAP master teacher, instructional coach, national board coordinator. Like I said, she got jobs over jobs over jobs. She has served as a national board project director for Arizona K12 Centers. Ms. Henderson has extensive training implementation of elements of effective instruction and has done widespread work in supporting teachers with implementing Common Core standards. We love those so much. Experiencing firsthand their joy and struggles as they attempt to incorporate. As you know, she is full of knowledge, but her spirit is full of hope. Thank you so much, Adrienne, for coming on the podcast.
All right, thank you. Oh, snaps.
Yeah. So on the podcast, we got 3 affirmations. The first one is a snap. That's like the low level. You say something, I really like, I'm going to give you a snap without interrupting you. Or, I'm going to give you a nice little golf clap. Or you can raise the roof. You can raise the roof if someone says something that's super thought-provoking and you're like, oh my gosh, I got to show you some love, Mr. Nellum. I got to show you love, Ms. Cole. I'm going to raise
Right.
Okay. So that's what I do. So what's up? How you doing?
I'm doing great. Just finished teaching for the day, all online.
Online. How was your day today?
It was awesome. They're always pretty amazing. I have 23 first graders in the Digital Academy for the Laveen School District. So we've been online since the first day of school and will continue to be online until the last day of school because their parents chose for them to be online for the year. So I volunteered for that, knowing that I have the expertise to make it amazing for them versus a new teacher struggling with management and understanding technology. So I volunteered to be the online digital instructor. So we have 3 of those in our school: kindergarten, first, and third.
Okay.
And the school is K-8. In case you all didn't know, schools in Arizona are primarily K-8 and then 9 through 12. That's how we go.
Yeah, absolutely. And you are an expert at your craft, so that's why we're gonna get right into teacher tip of the week because we care about those tips and those gems. So I'm gonna just go ahead and just give it to you, Coach, because you got the knowledge, so we can go to mileage. So what do you say for teachers who are experiencing teaching during COVID? It might be their first year teaching, and they are just completely distracted by all the external forces that affect our job. Teacher shortages, teacher retention, kids not, getting enough sleep so they can be their best selves. Staff members that aren't being as empathetic as they should. The relationship between the staff and the teacher, I feel it's in a bad place in certain places. Grace isn't as we're not being as graceful as we thought we would be. So just some advice would you give from your expert point of view?
Well, I would think like in this time, we all know it's hard on all of us. It's hard on me mentally. I'm home every day, sitting in this chair, looking at this screen for about 6 hours a day. So when the school day is over, I don't even want to look at a computer.
Right.
Usually there's a meeting after school, so we have to continue to sit. But I would say the biggest thing I've learned this year is to build community in that virtual classroom. So when we get together in the morning, the 23 of us, we sing songs. Remember, they're only 5 and 6. We sing songs, we have show and tell, we talk about what happened, good or bad. We say good morning. Everybody comes in, they say good morning to each other. So I really think that has helped them to build this community that they know, okay, this is hard for all of us, even me as an adult, but we got each other right now. So they really are really amazing. And if anybody wants to pop in. We can work on that later to see how it goes, but they are super amazing kids. The teacher tip that I would have would be to foster that community. Go to the dollar store, get some dollar store stickers and a book of stamps, and send your students some stickers or something inexpensive in the mail just to connect. Remember, as a kid, how we got mail. Do you remember getting mail from your grandmother?
Yeah.
Yes, and you would be like, I got mail, so excited. So
Yeah.
just a little brighten of their day. So they earn those stickers in class. I wrote a donor's choose and got them all donated to me. And once a week, they know they're going to get some mail from their teacher. So I really think that would be something actionable that people could do right now. Write a letter to your kids, have them write back to you. So that would be my teacher tip.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I just love your spirit. You remind me so much of like my mother. So I grew up in the school system, if you didn't know. My mother was a teacher in New Orleans Public School Board for 40 years, 30 years. She was a teacher, then she was a school board member. So I was in and out of schools, in and out of school board meetings. And I would always meet, just amazing, just educators who dress nicely, very, very spirited, have an amazing teacher voice. I can already tell when you talk to your kids, they're like, let's get it. Let's go, Miss Cole. Let's go, Miss Cole. and also, like, don't forget, like, teenagers like songs too, okay? We like to sing, we like to break it down, Harriet Bell. Do you know who that is?
No, is that a woman or a man?
She's a woman. She did the unit song.
Oh no, I don't know who that is because
she used to work for KIP. But
okay.
Anyways, but if you look her up on the internet, type in Harriet Ball, excuse me, not Bell. She has this amazing metric unit song on units, and I did it for my high schoolers because science can be so intimidating sometimes. Sometimes you just need to break that ice and show them that it's a lot more simpler than you think it is. And then when you show them that, and then you kind of go from there, as in as much space as possible, they really appreciate it. So thank you so much for just doing what you do. Absolutely.
Oh, no problem. No problem. I love it. I love it.
So where does this come from? So you coming from Maryland, you in Arizona, like where do you get this spirit to empathize, love, and care? Well, where do you get this from?
I don't know. I just think it's part of who I am, and I don't know how to define that. I mean, I have great parents. I knew my grandparents. My dad was in the Air Force. He's a Kappa. Shout out to the Kappas. And so I don't know if it was their upbringing or just that structure of family. And we didn't have a very big family. It's just me and my sister. And then my dad was an only child. So I don't know if it came from that. Like he was in the military. Then he worked for the Housing and Urban Development Department in Washington, D.C. My mom married him and then went back to school and got her AA. And we went to class with her. So maybe it comes from that. She wasn't going to let anybody stop her getting her degree. And she brought me and my sister, who were at that time 5 and 3, to college with her. And her professor knew she was bringing us, and she was like, gave us the eye, right? Y'all sit down in the back, color, and be quiet. And we were good all the time. So maybe that started it, that she wasn't going to let the barrier, and I don't want to say having children as a barrier, it's an obstacle or a blessing with extras to it, right? So she wasn't going to let that stop her, and she got her AA and worked in the Park and Planning Commission for several years. I don't know if you remember going to the rec center.
Yes.
She was that director of the rec center that made sure everything ran right. So she did that for years. So maybe it comes from that. And then my dad always also said, you need to do better than me. And he had a master's degree. So that means that I needed a doctoral degree. Right? So he always taught us that. So maybe that's where it comes from.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The self-determination that we breed into our kids is super, what's the word for it? It is something that we culturally always done, even like during slavery, when we weren't allowed to read. Our self-determination, our fight for that is what pushed us once slavery ended. It was the largest acquisition of literacy amongst ex-slaves. Black people created schools, they hired teachers, you know, like we did so many things because of our self-determination. And just to hear that story about your parents, I remember going to my school, Norfolk State. It was a commuter school as well. So we had a lot of parents, students, and they would bring their kids and their kids would just be there, you know. And I never thought about like what would be the byproduct of that, what would be the result of that. But you're definitely an example of that, doing your thing.
Right. You as well.
Yeah, I am. Absolutely. What am I talking about? I'm
I'll
tripping.
give you some snaps too.
Yeah. So let's talk about it. So you what grade do you teach, and why did you decide to do the babies versus the young adults?
Oh, that's a sticky question. So, uh, well, okay. So when I went to college, I wanted to be a pediatrician. Okay. And I'll have to admit, I had a little bit too much fun in college.
Yep.
So in order to be a doctor, you know, you have to get straight A's. So I didn't have the grades. I was like, oh, well, wanted to be a social worker. And then I was like, no, I'll be a teacher. So I became a teacher I always babysat kids.
Right.
I worked in the summer playgrounds. I worked in day camps. So it just kind of was a natural fit. And I'll be honest with you, I have a 19-year-old and a 13-year-old.
Wow.
No, I do not want to teach that age. No. So I've taught preschool, kindergarten, first, second, and third grade, mostly first grade for at least 20 years in first grade. So I'm teaching first grade this year against my will, but I did it because the principal asked me to mentor the other two teachers on my grade level that it's their first year. Because I'm more of a senior teacher, I'm towards the end of my career. First grade is work. It's one of the hardest grade levels to teach. They have to learn how to read. If your child doesn't learn how to read in first grade, it doesn't get easier in second and third.
Right, because you got those transitional years. So you want to make sure you get them right before they get into third and sixth. And I never forget my first grade teacher. Her name was Miss Williams. Miss Williams from Mary Henderson in New Orleans and Algiers. And she taught me how to write my uppercase and lowercase letters. And that was also the class where I had the autonomy to teach myself cursive. I just remember in that class, I taught myself cursive because of just, you know, the way that our classroom management was. So absolutely, shout out to the first grade teachers.
That's right. They work the hardest.
I've told myself that I would love to go to elementary because I just love kids. You know, I love kids because they're so innocent. You know, they're so funny. They're like little bitty bobbleheads just walking around, bumping into each other, falling around and stuff. Like, how can you not have fun when you're around them?
Yes, and I mean, like, okay, so there's different perspectives. You teach older kids,
right?
And you're like, oh yeah. And then you walk in my classroom and you'll be like, oh no, I couldn't do that. And
I love it though. I love it. I'll turn into a first grader from around them.
I know, but like people think it's like, this is the analogy, like somebody else's kids are real cute until you have to bring them home with you.
So you got kids pooping and stuff and peeing and stuff? No. Okay, good.
No, none of that. Now, I've had that before, but no, I'm just saying that, you know, you'll come in my class and they're all following directions and you're like, oh, that's so cute. And then if I walk out the door and leave you alone with them, it turns into a totally different environment because Miss Henderson-Cole has left the building. So, you know what I mean? Like they look cute, but it's still a lot of work and management, even though they're little, right?
Okay, so let's talk about it then. So as a first grader teacher, how do you establish culture in a early childhood? So first week of school, first 2 weeks of school, you got a bunch of babies coming in, you got snot coming out their nose, they're scared, they don't know who each other is. One person started crying because their mom had left them. I was one of those kids. Whenever my mom used to leave me, I would always cry. How do you build culture with first graders?
Well, I think like the first thing is they have to know that they're safe. So if we were in person, and I even did this virtually, I remember the first day of school, it was the parents and the kids online, all looking at me. I got like 25 little squares looking at me. And I'm like, parents, I just want you to know I got you. I got you. Kids, I want you to know I got you. And from then on, they knew that even though we didn't know what was going to happen, I was going to make it work. And so the parents are like, okay, oh my God, okay, whew, all right, thank you. All right, I'm going to go over here. You talk to Johnny and get it all set up. So I think that that trust was the first thing. Now, if we were in person and you're crying, I'm going to get on your level, take your hand and say, you know what, Calvin, I got you. I got you. And make that eye contact and just connect as human beings. And I think that's the biggest part of it, that people are forgetting that even in this virtual environment, we can connect as humans. And that's what we all need. So I don't know if there's a big magic trick, but I'm very good at developing rapport with kids. And I've always had that gift. So I think it just transferred over into the virtual environment as well.
I feel like we just had like the same life. Like I love camp. I love kids. Like I just love hearing you speak. So let's talk about like just your credentials, right? So you top of the top. That's all I'm gonna say. You in the top.
Top tier.
Why was that a motivation to be board? What's the correct term?
National board certified teacher.
Right. Yes. Why was that a motivation outside of just being a principal or like a admin? You know.
Well, I've always been good at being a teacher, right? But I think that society has a tendency to be like, oh, teacher, anybody can do that. But now I can do national board certification and prove that I am in the top 3% of educators in the nation and prove that I'm a master at my craft, right? So when I was teaching in Prince George's County, there was actually a flyer on the bulletin board that said, come to this info session. I was like, okay, this is something, because in case you don't know, we moved to Arizona, then we moved back to Maryland, then we moved back to Arizona. So I saw the info here in Arizona and was like, okay, that looks interesting. And then I saw it again in Maryland. And I was like, okay, why would God show me something twice, right? Okay. So I saw it and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go find out. And at that time in Maryland, they paid for the whole process. The National Board Certification process costs over $2,000. I think it's $2,600. Don't quote me. I'd have to go look on the website. But they were paying for the whole thing.
Nice.
So I was like, why not? Why not? Right?
What was the process like? Was it like graduate school? Was it really easy? Was it just you just had to put in the work and then you got it?
Well, I would say it's vastly different. Like the national board process is like personalized professional development. You're going to improve your craft as an individual educator, okay? It's not going to be like when we go to PD after school and everybody needs to learn about depth of knowledge and Maslow's hierarchy or any of that stuff. It's going to be, oh, I need to learn how to teach reading better or writing, depending on what your cert area is. Like you teach, so do you teach math?
So I just got certified yesterday.
Okay.
Yes. In physics.
In physics, okay. So then you would be able to select a unit of study that you're going to teach your kids, and you have to prove that you know they learned the content through your objectives, your unit plan, your assessment, all that. And then you may have to videotape yourself as well. So it's not like, it's vastly different than master's degree or any other kind of professional development you've ever had.
So you're literally becoming a master's teacher with the title.
Yes.
Because I don't think all master teachers are nationally board certified.
No, the master teacher certification is something particular to Arizona. We have a master teacher program here where you have to do something similar, but the national board process is different. It's through the National Board of Professional Teaching Standards, which is located in Arlington. Is it Arlington? It might be Arlington. It's either Arlington or Alexandria.
One thing I really love about what you said about getting the certification that it's you wanted to teach, and I see a lot of teachers, especially young teachers, like straight out of the education program, 2 years, 3 years in, they end up becoming deans and and school leaders,
Right.
all within 3 to 4 years, and it's just like, and then I'm gonna say these be the same people, but then you'll have also other people who will be like, teaching doesn't get paid enough or it's not worth it. But it's like teaching is an investment, like you literally have to stay in the game. I remember my teacher taught me this when I was going through my ed program. She said, you won't become a master teacher your first year, your second year, your third year, your fourth year. You might get it on your fifth year, but no, you probably won't get it your fifth year. You might need, and she said this, she said, you might need 10 years, 12, like 6 years and 7 years in the game before you are a master teacher, before you can just jump up in the class and be like, oh, I didn't lesson plan, but I got something, before you can do that. Do you agree with that?
Oh, 1000%. I will tell you, I remember year 7 and I was like, oh, I finally feel good. It was not until 7 years. And at that point, at 7 years, I hadn't done national board yet. So I feel like the national board process like turned it up even more. But at year 7, I do remember reflecting and being like, okay, I'm good. But no, year 1, oh my God, that was the worst year ever. I still remember those kids.
Absolutely. You remember everything that you did wrong. You're like, oh my gosh, but
Yes.
it's that's the cool thing about teaching, right? Every day you get to restart. Every day you get to reflect. Every day you get to, okay, that didn't work. Now let me try this the next day. But it's your responsibility to really reflect on your weaknesses and fix them.
And that's what the national board process does. It teaches you to reflect. That's the biggest thing you're going to learn. And you'll start to, in a regular practice, be driving home from work and being like, oh yeah, that didn't go well because of ABC. Well, tomorrow I'm going to try DEF, right? So that's the biggest thing I would say people get out of that certification process.
So I got 2 more questions. So the first question is, what advice would you give to educators who are maybe teetered between the lines of maybe becoming an admin or possibly continuing teaching and maybe can do that national board certification? And the reason why I ask that is because teacher retention is just terrible now. And we need teachers, we also need principals, so I guess like what career advice for teachers would you give who are maybe thinking about either staying in the profession or going in a different field in the profession?
I would say you could do either. I feel like our Black and brown children need us in the classroom with them.
Right.
And I will say this year I've been blessed that I have 23 kids, and I would say 15 of them are Hispanic or Black. And I'm like, where am I? Because usually it's not, in Arizona, it's very white, so it's usually not that way. So this all aligned for a reason, but I want to encourage everybody to stay in the classroom. And I tell my own kids, my sons, the same thing. This is one moment in time. This is not defining you as a teacher. I don't know if you're still there, but
okay, just give it like a couple seconds. Can you hear me? Okay, there you go. Yeah, just try
and then
yeah.
What did you say?
You're good.
Oh, you're good. And then the other thing was, if you are going to be a principal, you can still do national board certification. You just have to have access to students. So you could come to me and say, okay, I need to teach a lesson in your classroom once a week for the next 6 weeks. And you can still get national board certification. You just have to have a valid teaching certificate and been teaching more than 3 years. That's it.
That's it? That's all you need?
3 years, yes. Now, would I recommend that you do national board certification at your 3rd year, understanding that I didn't know who I was as a teacher until year 7? No, you don't know enough as a 3rd year teacher to achieve. Can you still participate in the process and learn something? Yes, because it is an amazing process. So saying that, I would say if you're going to stay in education as an admin or a teacher, of course, would value you more in front of our children. We need people to lead from the classroom. And that's even what's on my business card. Teachers lead from the classroom, because we need to be here for the kids.
I love it, Ms. Cole. I love it, Ms. Cole. Last question. Why are you an edupreneur? You have so many, you're so super eclectic. You have all these credentials. Talk about your business that you have on the side, and what was the motivation behind that? And what encouragement would you give to teachers out there, you know, who are maybe struggling, I guess, just with their creative spirit and how they can keep themselves equally yoked, if that makes any sense, or keep themselves
right
in the game, you know?
Well, in the teacher game or in the business game? Which one?
In the I need money game, you know, like, you know?
Well, I'm glad you're being transparent, because that was my thing. Like, yes, I make a good salary. Yes, I have credentials. I can get a job anywhere, but it's still not mine. I want something that's mine. Okay. So my jewelry business, I'm an independent paparazzi consultant, and the mission of the company is what resonated with me. Yes, I want money too. I want to travel. I want to pay off my bills. I want to get a new car. I want to give my kids the best education possible, but you shouldn't do it at any cost. So their mission is just to empower people through $5 jewelry. So like, even for men, when you get up in the morning and you got the cute bracelet that you want to wear, or women, I put on my pearls because, you know, we have a new vice president coming. Snaps out to her, right? Yes. So I would say the company mission is to bring strength, independence, and empowerment to families so that we can change the world. So what other company over $5 jewelry would that have that kind of mission? And I would say my doctoral degree is in leadership. I've always been a leader, and now I'm leading a team of men and women in my side business as well. So I'm still teaching. So it just transfers over to the next thing. So that's why I did it.
And that's the simplicity, y'all. I got my sister. I want to call you like just the sage on the stage, Cole, like just the sage Cole, you know. But I got my sister. She's an ed specialist, Adrienne Henderson-Cole. She is nationally board certified. She's in Arizona, where she's enjoying this heat. As you can tell, she is just full of heart, full of love. Where can they find you, and what's some cool things you got going on?
Like on the internet, well, I have my Instagram account, Amazing Bling by A. I have my Facebook page under my name, Adrienne Henderson-Cole. I'm on Twitter. It's still Amazing Bling by A. And right now, you know, I'm teaching first grade, leading my team of paparazzi consultants. I also have a student teacher in this virtual environment.
Wow.
So she's at Grand Canyon University, and she pops in the Google Meet, and she does lessons too. And I also am affiliated with the National Alliance of Minority Educators, NAME. It's the first minority national board. I can't remember the name of it. Group. They have groups in their organization, and we just want to make sure minority educators know that national board certification is for them too. Because that was my question. Like, is this, you guys know we have this conversation, is this for us?
Right.
Are we allowed to do this too? So I want to make sure everybody knows it's for us too. We need you to be with our kids and provide them with the best education possible.
Thank you so much, Dr. Cole, for your advice. This T Simple Podcast. You all have a great day. Peace out.